All right, so hello again. This video is to talk to you guys about frequency tables and dot plots. I'm going to be showing you both in this video. We're going to start off with a frequency table. A frequency table is just a really easy way for you guys to kind of organize your data, and it helps a lot with making some other data displays. It's a good way to organize. So a frequency table. Frequency from the last video means how many of something I have. So I'm just making a table of how many of each number basically I have. So this table could kind of be like a histogram where you have like ranges of numbers. For this, the numbers are so close together that I'm just going to make no categories. They're just going to be all their own number. All right, so I'm going to make a small table. I'm going to just make a column that says number. So that means what numbers do I see here? So I've got a 0, I have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. Okay? I'm sorry, I'll slide that up. Okay, so I've got all these different numbers. The next category I'm going to say is I'm going to do some tallies. You'll see this, I think they might even call it like a tally chart as a way to kind of get some information. So I'm going to tally up in a moment how many of each of these numbers I have. And then once I've tallied them, I'm going to write the frequency, which means I'm just going to write how many did I have of the tallies. All right, so in this case, I don't have to worry necessarily about putting my numbers in order from smallest to biggest here. If you wanted to, you could, but it's okay if I don't. So I want to make some tally marks here that show me how many of each of these numbers I have. So I'm going to start with 0, and I'm going to cross them off in my list. So I've got 1, 2. All right, so I'm going to put 2 tally marks there. I'm going to go to my ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I don't see any others. I'm going to put 4 tally marks. The cool thing is if you missed a number, after you did the tallies, you'd notice that that number was still in your list, and then you could just go back and add another tally. Number 2's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 of those. So again, I'm tallying them up, 5, 6. All right, 3's, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and 4's, 1, 2, 3. Number 5's, I see 2. And 6, I see 1. And when I look up at the top, I've crossed every number off, so I know I didn't miss anything. All right, so I've got my tallies, and then frequency just means how many 0s, how many 1s, how many 2s did I have. And I just count up my tallies. So frequency of the 0s was 2. 1, I had 4 of them. 2s, there were 6 of them. 3s, I had 4. 4 of them, I had 3. 5s, I had 2. And I had 1 6. So that's a frequency table. Pretty easy. And again, like I said, it's just a way to kind of organize your data so that you can use it to make other kinds of data displays. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So we've got it organized. Now what I'm going to show you guys is how to use this information to make what's called a dot plot. All right, so a dot plot is exactly what it sounds like. You've got dots, and you're putting them on a number line to show how many of each number you have. So I'm going to come back to this table. I'll have to like slide my paper back and forth for you guys. So what I'm going to do to start for a dot plot is I'm going to make a number line. And my number line has to include all of the numbers that I have from my data that was above. So we already organized it, and I have numbers 0 through 6. So on my number line, I'm going to make sure that I have each of those numbers. Doesn't matter how spread out they are, how big your number line is, but I just need to make sure I have all of the numbers that I'm talking about. All right, now what I'm going to do is every time I see one of these numbers, I'm going to put a dot above that number on the number line. So like I said, we already have our information organized for us in this table. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming back up here, and I want to make dots for every time I saw the number 0. And we said we saw 2 number zeros in our list. So I'm going to come back down to my number line, and above the number 0, I'm going to put 2 dots. I'm stacking them on top of each other to show that there are 2 of them that show up. Okay. Now, one thing that we have to be aware of when we do this is our dots should be the same size or about the same size. Meaning, I shouldn't have a dot that is like a little peck and then like this huge dot. That would be really bad. I also need to make sure that my dots are like equally spaced out. That means like when I go to the ones, they should space the same. So I shouldn't also have like dots that that don't really have a pattern to them. Like these would be bad examples. So I want consistency. I don't want any of this to happen. Not equal sized or not equal spacing. Okay, so I've got the 0 dots down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the ones, and up here it says that my frequency, how many ones I saw in my list, was 4. So back down here, I'm going to put 4 dots above the number 1. And again, I tried to kind of keep them the same size and the same spacing as I did with the zeros. Okay, so now I'm good with that. Now I'm going to go to the number 2. Number 2, it says that there were 6 of them. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Above the number 2, I'm going to put 6 dots. Again, spaced pretty equally and also about the same size. All right, now I've got the number 3. I see that there are 4 of those. So again, equally sized and spaced. Number 4, I see that I have 3 number 4s. Number 5s, I've got 2 of them. And the number 6, I've got 1. Later on in math, you guys are going to learn about like the patterns that a graph might make. And also the reason for the spacing is so that I can truly see which one of my numbers had more than the other. So if you guys take a look, first of all, this graph kind of goes up and then back down. It's got like a little peak right at the 2. And I can definitely see, okay, the number 6 only had 1 dot compared to the number 2 that had 6. That means that a lot more people answered with the number 2 than the number 6. All right, so that's a dot plot. You guys have a practice with making a dot plot and a frequency table on your practice today. So reference these notes and good luck.